Greetings and bienvenue, midnight crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Work at a truck stop in the middle of the countryside, and the night shift can get pretty creepy. The fact that it was built on an old Indian reservation didn't help either, and during the night shift, there was only 2 people running the whole place, which was pretty big. I used to work the night shift quite a bit, and here are a few stories. About a month after I started working there. It's about 3 a.m. Working up at the gas bar, only one there because my coworker needed to hit. I'm just sitting there playing solitaire on the computer, haven't seen customers in at least an hour. Suddenly hear very loud kicking against the wall from inside the back room. Oh fuck, some Indian from the new reserve probably broke in. Grab a crowbar and run into the back room. There's a thick mist in the air that dissipates in about 3 seconds. Okay. Suddenly a fire extinguisher falls off the wall and the same kicking is heard back in the main room which I was just in. WTF, run back in, but nobody is in the main room either. Wait in the main room with a crowbar in hand until the coworker is back from his shit. I tell him what happened, and he tells me, "Oh, that's just Todd, our ghost." Just great. A few weeks later, outside, having a smoke at about 1 a.m. It's a totally dead night, we haven't even seen a car on the road for at least 2 hours. It's a humid and muggy night, tons of bugs making noise. Just about to finish my smoke, when suddenly all the bugs stop making noises. Deathly silent out, I go to get my coworker so he can see it too. As soon as he gets outside, the lights that line the road in front of the truck start flickering on and off for a good 10 seconds. What the hell? The next day I talk to the boss about me and he says it happens all the time, and he has no clue what causes it. I'm not totally sure about this one, since I don't have access to the security cameras, but I've heard about it from a few coworkers who used to work the night shift. Apparently on a few occasions when paranormal shit happened, security cameras captured weird, unexplainable things. The restaurant, which is closed at night, has infrared cameras, and at times when paranormal activity happened, you could see very tall, vaguely human-looking shadows fly across the corridor near the restaurant at very high speeds, about 3 meters per second. There are also times where fire extinguishers fell off the fall for no reason. In fact, it seems like the ghosts have a weird attraction to the fire extinguishers. One time when I was heading to the washroom near the office, which is adjacent to the restaurant, I heard a loud bang and scraping from inside of the locked office. The next morning I told my manager, who was just starting his shift at 6 a.m., and he opened up the office. There was a fire extinguisher that was about half the room away from its original spot, and it was resting up against the main door. The main door was also really scratched up, so it must have been flying pretty fast before it hit it.
Used to work in an auto parts store where a few people perished in a fire about 10 years ago. It was great. While I'm more likely to be skeptic to such cliché stories of hauntings, the regulars at this particular store embraced them entirely without a single critical thought. B. Managing. Counting up cash drawer at the end of the day. Store closed. In upstairs office with only other staff member and cash drawer. Hear heavy footsteps coming up the stairs just by the office. Staff member hears it too. Responds to my nope.jpg reaction face with, "Don't worry about him, fuck off." There were a few like this with slightly more convincing happenings. Same place. Cash float kept inside one of those giant old iron safes in a locked room upstairs. Be lazy Sunday. Count up cash float half an hour early so we can leave earlier than normal. Count everything. Place it back in safe which gets locked, along with the door for the safe room. End of day. Count up cash drawers and input figures. Go to deposit cash from drawers in the safe with the float. Open door to safe room. Safe door wide open. The fabric bag that the notes were in ripped open and notes scattered everywhere. Bags of coins sitting empty in open safe while all the coins are strewn over the floor. Had the only set of keys able to access that room and safe on me since I locked them last. The other set were with the area manager. Fuck you, ghost. I wanted to avoid staying late.
This isn't paranormal, but it was creepy as fuck. I worked as an in-home caregiver for a 95-year-old woman who lived alone. I worked between 24 to 48 hours at a time and then would switch off. So I spent a couple of nights a week at least at her house, just the two of us. I had to sleep on a futon in her room, so if she woke up and needed something, I would hear her and be able to help. One night she had already gone to bed and was sleeping soundly. It was about midnight and I wanted a snack, so I went to the kitchen. Suddenly I hear her voice calling, "Millie. Millie." Millie was this woman's long-dead sister. I'd heard her talked about once before. I went back to the bedroom and she was laying in the bed, and when she saw me she snapped her head over to me. Her eyes were huge, and she looked me dead in the eye and said, "Millie." As though she were acknowledging me being Millie. I said, "No." Very slowly, and the glimmer sort of left her eye and she said, "Oh. No," and kind of half smiled apologetically. I was thinking okay, no big deal. Then she said, "But she's here, isn't she?" And again I said, "No, she isn't here," hoping she would remember on her own again. She said, "Well, will you go look around the house just to make sure?" My face when this 95-year-old woman is asking me to walk around her house in the middle of the night to look for her dead sister. Hell nope.
I used to work at a Joanne Fabrics, guy here. What are you going to do? A job's a job. The place used to be situated in an older type building, and everyone said it was haunted. For instance, there were several stairs leading to the upper level where management was. The stairs had beepers, so every time someone went up there, a bell would ring. Heard stories like, somebody working late at night would be all alone, and would hear two beepers go off at the same time, one for each set of staircases at opposite sides of the store. Weird thing was, after working there for a couple months, the store relocated to a larger building in the next town over. And I swear the ghost followed us to the new location. I remember seeing displays and signs getting knocked over when no one was around. And not just falling over, it looked and sounded like someone pushed them with force. The creepiest shit though, was one of the last weeks I worked there. There were several of us working an overnight shift stocking product. Near the end of the shift, maybe around 5 in the morning, we heard a baby crying in the store. Shit sounded like it was coming from the ceiling. All doors were locked since it wasn't opening time. There was no way there would be anyone in the store with a baby, and definitely no employees would bring a baby. Wouldn't that be weird? I can still hear that baby crying. So goddamned weird.
Oh shit, I've got a couple. I work at a Subway, food, not transport, downtown. Subway has surveillance cameras literally everywhere. Monitors in the back rooms. Used to spy on your coworkers and keep an eye on customers in case they need anything. Alarm sounds in the back when the front doors are opened, so we are alerted when a customer comes in. 2 months ago, finish helping this obnoxious family. They go sit and eat and be loud and obnoxious. Go in the back to finish doing dishes. Door alarm beeps. Restaurant goes silent. Assume family just left. Minute or two later glance at monitor to check on other customers. Loud obnoxious family is still there, but sitting silently and not moving. Camera flips to behind counter, other side of restaurant, etc. Flips to other front door. Fucking something standing there. Looks like a kid from the high school, backpack and normal clothes but completely black with black hair covering face and knees fucking bent the wrong way. What? Flips back to family, sitting silently and staring at thing just standing there. This goes on for another camera cycle. Eventually hear door beep again. Family gets loud again. Go out front, everything is normal, thing is gone. All veggies up front are suddenly lackluster and practically rotting. Family left a few minutes later. Mentioned it in passing to my coworker who's been there longer than me, but he kind of shrugged it off like, oh, that's weird. Less paranormal, just weird. But on the 18th, nearing end of lunch rush, restocking line and cleaning up. Elderly couple comes in. Man wearing tuxedo, bow tie, mustache waxed up, wife is in Sunday best. Lol, how cute. What are you two all dressed up for?
Oh, he's got a Masonic meeting.
Masonic meeting, huh? That's pretty cool. What exactly do you do there? Husband.
Oh, the usual. Meetings and whatnot. We're doing some elections right now.
Me. Oh, that's cool. Is that here in town? Wife.
Yes, it's right up on Main Street. He gets to sit in his important meetings and I just have to knit and wait.
Coworker walks out to ring them up.
Oh, don't you two look nice?
Thank you. You should see him in his meetings. He wears a purple sash with golden embroidery. It's so lovely.
Husband pays for their food. Go and sit across the restaurant and eat. My face when there's a Masonic temple literally 3 blocks from my work. Probably just Shriners or something, but it totally threw me off.
Work at hotel, circa 2006. Off-season night shift. Big place, rundown, I clean and stuff, nice and solitary. Here's a selection of events. Stairway at end of wing. Afternoon. Heavy, animalistic breathing, panting, nothing around. Stairway on opposite end of building. Well after dusk. Strange hunched gremlin creature peering in window, rattling entry door. Stare down, unsure how to react. It licks the glass and runs away. Start parking in better lit area of parking lot. Various times, various places in the halls. Feel air move like someone passed by inches from me. Get shoved. Think it's coworker, he's a goofy fellow. Talk to him. Look up. No one is there. Nowhere for a person to hide. See coworker walking towards me from other end of very very long hall. No way he could move his fat ass that fast. Some fall, winter stories from the same place. Front desk entry door locks. Chilling back there. Knock at door. Open it. No one there. Happens a lot more often when I'm around, I am told. Look down hall at table with tablecloth. Tablecloth moves or waves a few times, like a child is underneath. Too small for an adult to hide under. Get closer. Lamp on table turns off for no reason. No thanks. Magnetic fire doors in halls, always open unless fire alarm goes off. They close suddenly, loud slam. No alarm, no power outage. Open storage area downstairs by conference room. Down there late, most lights off. Coat rack comes rolling out of pitch black storage room. Ominous feel. Turn on the light in there. Nobody inside. Shit falls off a high shelf. Once in a while when the hotel was relatively empty. Look down long, long hall. At wing junction, see tall black wiggly thing. What? It wanders out of sight around corner. It wanders back, with an identical friend. They just wander around, not even sure what to think. Saw people at that distance in that hall many times. It was not a person. I hated that place. Last part of hotel stories. Not paranormal, but sad. Old lady checks in, alone, seems frail. Help her out. She hardly has anything with her but is dressed in nice clean clothes. Looks well kept except for her wild crone hair. She says her husband will be joining her. They're gonna take a trip together. Sounds fun. She asks me for weird things. Stalls so I won't leave. tells me stories that trail off and don't make sense. She doesn't know what to do with her stuff. Unpacks a mystifying array of items. She begins to change for bed while I'm in the room, even though I'm a guy and she doesn't know me from Adam. Dip out, inform front desk. We ended up letting her stay in the room for a few hours until her grown son showed up looking for her. He said his father had died a few months before and she never accepted it. He yelled at her and made her cry, and she wouldn't look at him. What a shithead. I went home and emailed my parents to see how they were doing that night.
Not necessarily a job, but it was something I did that made me some money, so I'm going to say it counts. Well, I live in Montreal for starters. I live on the West Island, in Pierrefonds, with my girlfriend. The past 2 years I've been attending college and working at some shitty cafe. Dealing with the shitty customers finally got to me, so I quit my job at the cafe and started looking for a different job, preferable one where I wouldn't have to deal with assholes constantly. It got to the point where nobody was hiring and I desperately needed money for rent, school, and doing shit socially. I was talking to my best friend about me having a hard time financially, and he told me that if I helped him do this thing, he'd split the profit with me. Well, I'm not sure what, but my friend's father had something to do with property, mostly commercial, stores, factories and shit, no homes or anything. What my friend would do is look through his dad's work shit and find out the addresses of these closed down places, what their purpose was, how long ago they closed down, etc. He had some sort of personal evaluation process where he'd consider whether or not a place was worth looting, and if it was a good time to do so. I went with him to a couple of places to salvage what we could and sell it to anyone willing to buy it. There were some pretty valuable finds. It's shocking what people will leave behind. Anyway, things were going well. I was making a decent amount of money doing the occasional job with him. One day, he finds out about this place between Montreal and Toronto. He drives us over there, and the place looks really fucking scummy. He said it had only been abandoned a year before, but the paint was peeling, there was trash everywhere, smelled like piss. We had arrived at around 6 p.m. I guess, not too early, not too late. To this day I'm not sure what the place was. Might have been some sort of refinery or a waste management center or something, because the main reason we were there was to strip the piping. Lots of copper in places like that, and if you get enough it can lead to a decent sum of cash. Well, we take shifts waiting outside near my friend's 4x4 pickup, and going inside to strip shit that looks valuable. We'd been there around 2 hours and we were almost done looking through the place. It was my turn to wait on lookout while my friend cleared out the last of the shithole. It's been about 2 hours at this point and it was getting dark. My friend sends me a text saying something along the lines of, "This shit's weird. Park the truck behind the bushes and get over here. Bring something just in case." I assumed he meant bring something in a weapon capacity, so I brought along 2 of the cleaner, smaller pipes and headed to the back of the building. My friend gestures for me to come over and he looks visibly freaked the fuck out, which is rare because he's normally very level-headed. The last room had around 3 tents set up in it. It smelled like ass, and there were stains fucking everywhere. From the looks of it, it might have been piss, shit, vomit. Some even looked like aged bloodstains. There were what looked like family photos everywhere, but of different families, not just different photos of the same one. Needless to say, we were pretty on edge at that point, but nobody was there and we were armed, so we thought we'd just look through the tents and get the fuck out. 2 of the tents were repulsive on the inside, but nothing was too bad. The one to the far left, on the other hand, was fucking full of dead animals. The majority of them were cats, mostly strays, but a few of them had collars. There were at least 10 in there, minimum. At that point it became too much and we just went to leave, but Dennis saw one more spot he wanted to check out. There was an office near the entrance that was boarded up, and there was a bunch of office shit in there that looked mostly intact. Supplies. A small filing cabinet. A computer monitor. Wishful thinking because it didn't work anyway. I was really anxious to leave because I was pretty spooked, so I told my friend to go and start up the car. I'd search the office and bring the stuff around back. Seeing as I couldn't use the door, I figured I'd just break the window. The place was already busted anyway, so I didn't feel too bad about it. I head into the office and I shit you guys not, there was a fucking dead guy slumped in the corner of the room. I couldn't see him because he was right behind the door that was blocked up. I'm not big into forensics or any of that shit, but he looked like he'd been killed a couple of months back. What really freaked me out was that the door was boarded shut from the outside. I'm the one that just broke the window then, and there was a fucking dead guy in there. That must have meant that someone killed him in there, left him, and nailed the door shut with a bunch of scrap wood. Or maybe he self-ended, I don't fucking know. The point is, he didn't lock himself in there. I couldn't take any more. I sprinted to the car like a little bitch. Threw up in the bushes. Didn't want to do it near the body. I don't know if they can get DNA from that shit or whatever. Worst part is neither of us ever called it in, because our fingerprints are all over that place. I know it sounds like horseshat, but it actually happened. It's probably the only too spooky for me thing that'll ever happen in my life though.
I worked prepping paperwork for a government trade school, and worked night shifts with an older gent named Tim and my friend Dale. The job was filling out paperwork and making sure locals didn't break in and steal shit in the 3 large dormitories that had been built. So I get stuck in C building, the farthest dormitory and the only one not connected to the other buildings. Built to be the women's dorm. So Tim is our boss, and after showing me what I need to do, file papers, walk the dorm every couple hours, check the locks on the entrances, he tells me, and by the way, make sure not to play any music, and leaves. Now this confused the hell out of me, but I didn't have a radio so it didn't matter and I just did my shit. Fast forward a few weeks later, I've asked both Tim and Dale about what that cryptic shit was about and neither would say anything more about it. So I'm working, a Thursday I think, and I've got "That's Life" by Sinatra stuck in my head, and I wind up whistling it over and over. And after a good half hour of paperwork I decide to go buy myself a mellow yellow from one of the vending machines. I buy the drink and take a huge refreshing drink and realize something. The whistling hadn't stopped. Now I'm not saying I'm some mystical being Kenny G apex predator capable of drinking and whistling at the same time. I'm saying someone else was whistling along with me. Now I'm a bit spooked by this, and wind up doing a walk through with the small bat most referred to as a mag light only to find nothing. I return to the office to get back to the paperwork and ignore how fucking weird that shit was, when I started to hear whistling again. Now this was in Idaho during the winter so the building was already cold as hell, but when we'll refer to it as a him, started whistling it became frigid. I was scared and confused now. Scared because I'm experiencing some sci-fi ghost hunters shit and confused because he keeps whistling a 3-second piece of the song, pausing, then repeating it again. Finally I realized he was fucking prompting me to keep whistling. So now, my fear overridden by my curiosity, I do the only thing I could think of and started whistling with him. Instantly the room was toasty warm. Actually took off my coat after a while, and the feeling of dread I felt was gone. I wound up taking my lunch break an hour later and upon returning everything was back to normal, and I decided not to tempt fate by whistling. Now I'm a fan of Sinatra, and from my previous job as a painter I had a portable CD player, radio with a MP3 CD. Had 300 plus songs, consisting of his discography and similar artists, and after experiencing a whistling ghost who's also a Sinatra fan I decided it would be a worthwhile risk to bring them in. Plus whistling for an hour really chapped my lips up so fuck that. Turns out it was fucking brilliant idea. The moment I plugged in the CD player and Sinatra started playing, the temp in my office went from frigid to in front of a fireplace company, and I started feeling happy for no reason. So it becomes a regular thing at work for me to be playing the mixed CD at work, and I didn't have to worry about Tim or Dale finding out since they never fucking checked on me. One morning, probably like 2 a.m., maybe a month later, as I sat in the office, I heard heavy footfalls, like that of boots outside of my office that kept getting closer. Eventually they stopped right in front of my CD player, and I hear it switch from "Luck Be a Lady" to static as he starts cycling through stations, at which point it gets cold as balls and I hear the "I'm a Little Bit Country" part from that one song whistled. So I told him which station was country and the radio switched over to it. I guess he was tired of listening to the same old songs over and over. The office warmed up after that, and I witnessed something crazy as fuck. One of the chairs in the common area, where I had the CD player, move out from under a table, leaned back like someone was reclining in it, and then the table made two whomp and leaned slightly towards the chair. From then on I would just set up the radio and let him decide what we listened to, and it made my overall job experience awesome. And this is the last. The only other interesting thing to happen was him pulling up a chair to watch YouTube with me. It was a Sinatra performance and he moved my drink to put his feet on my desk, and Dale being pissed that I pulled some voodoo horseshit to befriend the evil spirit. Apparently Whistler threw a chair through the office window when Dale had been playing some screamo shit. I'm sad though, because I know that place is now a dorm filled with 60+ teenage girls, and I feel that someone is going to die if they haven't already.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.